And besides, Simon doesn't have power. I bite my lip while watching the ominous spire in front of us. If she is closing herself in, then we might really be short on time. But can we handle this on our own? I'm going in. We don't know what will happen there, and this rate we might not be able to get out once we go in. You said yourself, this can't be put off. I'm not letting this continue. Alright. I nod to Tobias and turn my attention to the cliffs before us. On the other side is Adele. We climb the pieces of broken rock and enter the valley. As we pass the black spire, I feel something like a faint breeze against my skin for just a moment, and there is a slight change in atmosphere, a barrier. Tobias' expression darkens as he sees the landscape before us. Out of all the places we have been, this is the one that has changed the most. While the physical changes on the outside were minimal, this valley is almost unrecognizable. There is no wind, and the air is heavy and tense, as if rejecting anything that would venture in here. I don't see her anywhere. She must be hiding, I think. She's afraid. Afraid? Why else would she make this place? She's hiding away. She must be near the heart. Alright. No, wait. Tobias is already about to continue when I stop him. We should split up. We don't know what can happen here, so we must be careful. I'll go in front. Lena! We follow close by, but stay hidden. I'm going to need your backup. I look firmly into his eyes while waiting an answer. But if you go alone... He objects, obviously still conflicted about it. Looking at his face like this once again makes my heart sting with pain. Before I know it, I find myself stepping forward, taking hold of his broad shoulder. So this happened! Yes. Choosing from Gavin and Simon, I think this is the best choice for her. Well, the best choice would be Arina or Mary, but, well, I think it's impossible. Our lips connect. I can see since my eyes are closed, but I imagine he must be surprised. I can feel him going tense. If I was asked, I wouldn't even be able to answer why I'm doing this myself, but I know I have to. Slowly I let go, and once again looking into his eyes. I won't be going alone. You'll be supporting me. When you found out, I want you to be ready to take her out before she realizes you are there. I'm going to count on you for this. Are you ready? He looks at me with a dumbfounded expression. What I did left him completely speechless for a few moments. Then he looks down and nods. Then I see you later, Tobias. I turn around and begin my walk down into the rocky wasteland below. At first, he just stands there and watches me walk away, but soon I see him out of the corner of my eye as he disappears in the shadows among the cliffs above. Good, now I just have to focus on what is ahead of me. Cliffs have sprouted up here and there, and other parts of the ground have broken and scattered as the mountain itself grew upwards, creating the huge spires around me. It makes it harder to judge how wide the area even is now, and I turn a corner in this new environment, only to be met with another messy maze. I can't even see the crevice near the heart from here. The density of the energy in the air only thickness in this direction, so I must be heading the right way. Suddenly, the ground vibrates faintly beneath my feet, and I stop before it turns into another powerful tremble. The mountain moans in pain as the spires grow upward once more, blocking out some of the sunlight. From here I can see all of them surrounding the valley, reaching up like dark claws. After a while, the quake stops again, just like before. The place falls completely silent, and I continue forwards. That is when I notice that one of the cliffs protruding from the ground ahead of me looks different. It is about the same size of person, and although its shape is rough, it gives me the airy impression of a woman made of stone. A statue. Moving closer, my conviction grows. It looks like Adele. I can make out the shape of her hugging herself, looking down. And as I stare at this, the voice speaking us surprises me even more. Lena. With a jolt, I realize the voice isn't coming from the statue but from somewhere on my left. I spin around and see her standing there, at a safe distance. Why? Why are you already here? She looks shocked and almost frail as she stands there watching me. I turn my full attention on her, reading my sword. How far has Tobias come? I have to create an opening for him and make sure she doesn't realize our plan. Reactivate my connection with Rose, preparing for the upcoming fight if necessary. I have come for you, Adele. She steps back and stares at me in disbelief. Then her expression calms somewhat. You can't be here. Adele. Stay away from me! Go away! She holds her head and screams this. A strange wave runs through the air, and I step back in surprise. Then a violent quake runs through the mountain once again as the spires move upwards once more, causing some of the cliffs around us to tremble and break. It's like the entire mountain moves in response to her. We have to move fast, but just as I am about to move forward, something touches my arm. Instinctively I spin around with my sword, chopping off the arm of what appears to be the statue from earlier. The steel in my blade sinks, and I still feel a little numb in my arm after striking through stone. What? It's moving. Another statue shows up in the corner of my eye. Don't turn your back on me! The short blade is in her hand again, and she moves forward to take advantage of my confusion. I spin around to face her, and that's when it happens. Something whistles through there and then collides with stone, splintering apart, both Adele and I stop looking up. No, Tobias' arrow was a perfect aim towards Adele's heart, but instead it broke against a piece of stone that emerged from the ground, shielding her in the last moment. Just something like a slender spear of a grey, but enough to get in the way. She couldn't have known. She then looked surprised by her attack herself. Crap, then it's up to me. I set off, hoping to take advantage of the moment. Adele retreats backwards, and I notice another spear of stone shooting up from her feet towards me. I break it with my sword and continues towards, but then another one appears from my right. I have to dodge sideways and to avoid it just barely, but then a sharp pain shoots through my right flank as I move away from the spike. Adele is close to me, her long dagger piercing through my side. I gasp in surprise and then lash out with my arm to get her off me. She moves back once again, drawing her blade with her. A sharp, cold pain enters the wound as it is pulled out, and I stagger back a few steps before falling to my knee. I can feel the blood flowing out, dyeing my hand and the ground below. Crap, no. Adele starts laughing as she realizes what is in front of her. She just stands there watching me, holding the dagger wet with my blood. I finally got you. I did it. How does it feel? I clutch my wound with my one hand and look up at Adele. Once again tightening the grip on my sword, I collect all my strength, pushing myself up. With a cry, I charge towards Adele once again. Huh? Her gloating expression changes to one of the shock as she realizes she isn't safe yet. No, don't come near me! I think the world is trembling. There is a noise somewhere, but I don't care. I only have one thing to do. But I can't. I realize this as the ground crumbles and disappears beneath my feet. With a weak cry of surprise, I try to stop and avoid it, but there is no place to move on to. The world is a mass of broken stone, falling apart, going down. Down. No. No. A quake ran through the valley as the ground collapses into itself, creating a crater of crumpled rock and falling boulders. A cloud of dust spreads, filling the air and making it hard to see. Lena! Tobias runs and climbs down the rocky slopes as fast as possible, without tripping on the sharp edges or slipping on the loose debris, all the while calling her name. He failed. His arrow never struck home. Instead, he saw Adele turn the tides and overwhelm Lena in just a short moment. His view of the scene hadn't been perfect after his shot had missed, but he was sure Lena had been hurt. He saw her dagger back before rushing off to help her. The valley had been struck by yet another quake, and this bloody cloud made it hard to see what was going on. Don't tell me I get the bad ending here. He finally reached the bottom and looked around cautiously. Where's Adele? There's no sign of her. The dust cloud slowly settles as he heads further in. Lena! Then he sees her. At the edge of the crater, the knight lies in the rubble, bloodied and with closed eyes. She looks almost serene, the way she lies, there on her back, one hand on her stomach. Every thought stops as he sees her lie there, and he runs to her side, heart racing. Lena, wake up! He lifts her head and searches for signs that she still is alive. She moves ever so slightly, then she opens her eyes and looks up at him. Tobias? Hang on, I'll get you out of here. Tobias desperately looks around for something to blind her wound with settles on his sleeve. Tobias, you did well. A hand reaches up and he freezes as it touches his cheek. But we're not done yet. He says this in as firm voice as he can. That's right. Somewhere inside, like a blue drop in the empty darkness, it resounds with some sound as a heartbeat. We have to keep going, because if not, I just want to go back. To wake up in your house once again and share a silent breakfast in that small cabin in the forest where it feels like nothing moves. Why now does my heart arch for such a simple thing? Something trickles down my cheek. Is it that here? Get up. A warm feeling unfolds in my chest as the gentle, distant voice calls out to me. Get up and fight for me. A jolt runs through the wild body. Through the dust I see what he's looking at. Adele is watching us from the other side of the crater. The ground is broken and cracked so badly that none of us will be able to cross over to the other, and thus, for a moment, all we can do is stare at each other. Desperately he reaches out for his bow. Pull me up. What? I reach out for his hand, holding the bow. My body is weak, but the will to fight still burns inside me. I have something very dear to protect. We can do this. For a moment he watches me in bewilderment, but then he nods. He helps me up in a sitting position, and then picks up the bow. As he prepares an arrow, my hand joins his on the handle of the soft wooden frame. The warmth spread all through my body and out into my hands, a soft and safe sensation. Tobias holds his breath, and I wonder if he can sense it too. As he pulls back the string, I find myself copying his movements, while enveloped in his arms. Leaning up against him, Tobias is focused on the target in front of us. I have a feeling that this moment feels a lot longer than it is. For just a fraction of the time I give in to the safe feeling of being so close. Then I narrow my eyes as I concentrate on the task at hand. By the rose. I whisper this prayer as I collect all the strength I've left. Now. An abrupt, snapping sound disrupts the silence in the valley as we let go of the string. The glowing arrow shoots through the air in high speed, directly towards Adele. Her eyes widen in surprise and she steps back. Pure stone shoots up from the ground to shield her, but is shattered as the reinforced arrow passes right through it. The woman with golden hair only manages to let out a gasp in surprise as the arrowhead strikes home. In the distance, we see her stand there in shock for a few seconds before falling to her knees and then collapsing to the ground. And the world breaks. A violent tremor runs through the ground, and there is a roar as everything sounds starts falling apart, even the ground spires overhead. Even in spite of the chaos, I still can't help but look in the direction of Dell. The view of her is soon blocked as the dust rises again, and pieces of stone come crashing to the ground. We have to get out of here! Tobias is still holding on to me. If we don't flee, we'll be crushed. But there is no way he can run like this, and he knows it. Damn it, I'm not leaving you! He pulls me to my feet and puts my arm over his shoulder for support before dragging me along towards a gathering of cliffs nearby. The sounds of the collapsing valley almost sound the like roaring cries of a wounded animal. I look up and see one of the ground spires above crumble and rain down upon the land beneath in large chunks. The ground shakes violently as they collide with the ground, and we are almost thrown out of it by the impact. Debris from the boulder rains over us, and Tobias curses as he manages to pull me with him under the shelter of the cliffs. It all seems so strangely distant, even as I look out at the stones tumbling down past our hideout, and only just missing my feet, like I'm watching it from somewhere else, and none of it really matters. That's strange, but sort of familiar warmth still pulsates within me, and somehow I know that without it, I would already have passed out from my injuries. I feel Tobias' arms around me once again, as he positions himself close against the cliff wall behind us and pulls me close to get me into safety. The noise outside continues. Whether our doubtful shelter will soon collapse, like everything else, and bury us in this place is unknown, but so far it continues to shield us from the rainy rocks and the quaking ground. I just sit there in Tobias' tight embrace, my heart beating fast for a whole different reason. Slowly, I close my eyes and close out the chaos around us completely. Yes, let us go home together this time. Hopefully. The first one who found us was Simon. He had noticed that something was going on, but had arrived too late and found himself shut out from the valley. After everything collapsed, he went in and found Tobias, who was trying to bring me back with him. Nowhere else had the mountain felt the strong quake that destroyed the valley. Everything had fallen silent. Adele was gone. I found myself staring up at the peak of the mountain, but bathed in the orange light from the setting sun. Adele. Thinking of her still makes me sad, always wishing things could have turned out differently. What are you staring at? Wes has walked up to me on his way back from today's hunt. Nothing, just think about all that happened. Don't tell me you miss it. Of course not. You make it sound like fighting is all I'm good for. He sighs. Still as loudmouthed as ever. Look who's talking, is what I'm tempted to say. So, how are things up there? He hesitates for a moment and turns his gaze up towards the mountains as well. Calm, it's not completely back to normal, but I see improvements here and there. The animals aren't as aggressive anymore either. I'm sure it will all calm in time. The mountain received a large wound after all. Tobias has patrolled the mountain a lot lately, making sure no more bad news are waiting for us up there. I wanted to join him, but I have been prohibited from such activities because of how severely wounded I got during the last fight. Even Simon stayed in town for several days longer than intended before leaving because he wanted to wait until I was alright. At this time I believe Tobias is overreacting about my condition, as I feel fine enough to do more than just patrol. He has been strangely overprotective, telling me he doesn't want to drag me back as a bloody mess a third time. Well, it's alright. I look at Tobias, who now seems to be lost in thoughts as well as he looks up at the mountain. Seeing his calm face with the usual serious thoughts makes me feel warm and content. I was sad to see Simon go and feel a little melancholic when I think of my old home, but this is where I truly want to be. Anyway, are you coming? He shakes off the deep thought he fell into and turns around again, motioning towards the path leading down to town. He looks back at me over his shoulder as he waits my reply. A dismissive, uncaring sentence as always, and yet I feel a kind of tone of familiarity and warmth in it now that wasn't there before, and something about the expression has changed, just for a moment. I find myself smiling and nodding back. Yeah, let's go home. Blue Rose, the end. Why is it the end? No. Great game. Great game. White Cat made a very good job here. Gallery? Oh, I don't have everything unlocked. Music. Fine. Extras. Store. Everything is locked. Well, okay. Great game. I wonder if White Cat has done any other games. If so, I have to check them out. Hopefully you enjoyed the whole series on my channel. See ya, bye.